Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of F1 23 Driver Career Mode here on the channel. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we have the final bit of news before the off season, and we start off with officially the R&D changes announced. Aerodynamics and durability will be seeing a reset at the season's end, so we are going to be adapting parts as quickly as we can. However, Formula One has imposed a R&D limit here. We can only spend 20,000 R&D points. So we started with 30,000. We spent half of it today, just basically adapting as much as we can. And as well, we had some contract news to share for our future in our career.
We're happy to share that we've come to an agreement to extend Gary Owen's contract for 2 more seasons at £20 million per year. We look forward to what the future brings for us together.
There you have it. 2 bits of news already. We have signed with Red Bull for the same offer that Trackhouse and Justin Marks was bringing to us. The main reason I decided to extend with Red Bull is the future is now quite uncertain with where teams are going to be going into next season, with the R&D and the R&D resource point limit of 20,000 being able to be spent on the cars. So as well, there was one more bit of news this weekend. It was a big weekend for news. I wanted to get all of the big things out of the way before going into the final 2 Grand Prix of the season. The other big one is that officially Pirelli will be leaving Formula One at the end of this season. Now, this is not going to create a tire war. I like the idea of all teams kind of having the same compound, so it's quote-unquote fair, and we will be seeing Bridgestone coming into the sport next season. So yes, Bridgestone will be the tire supplier for Formula One in next season's part of this career mode, so that is another exciting thing there. 3 bits of news. There's one big thing left, of course. Charles Leclerc, where's he going for next season? Very likely you will see him at Trackhouse Racing, and you're likely going to see Felipe Drugovich alongside myself, but that will be confirmed at the end of the season. Q1 here in Abu Dhabi this weekend. 3 Grand Prix remain. We cruise through into Q2. No issues here. Gasly, Drugovich, Mayer, Zhou Guanyu, JQ's all out in the first session. But yeah, I mean, we as well have Abu Dhabi tonight here, which of course, so used to this being the season finale, no longer the case. Next episode, Jeddah. And then, of course, following Jeddah, we go and end the season in Brazil. So an exciting bit of races on the way to cap off this season. Q2, pretty happy with the pace we had. We were actually P4. Verstappen second, Leclerc top of the board. Iwasa, Lawson, Ocon, Pourchaire, Butler all out in that second qualifying session, setting us up for Q3. And I was confident in the pace. We have struggled in qualifying quite a bit recently, but we have seemed to find some pace this weekend. You notice the engine icon in the bottom right. That is due to a worn gearbox. So what I'm doing here this weekend is we are finishing this weekend on a worn gearbox because I wasn't confident on changing it this weekend, because if we change it this weekend in Abu Dhabi, we will take a grid penalty, and I'm way more confident taking a grid penalty in Jeddah than I am in Abu Dhabi. We come through to complete our second lap in Q3. We go P6, trying to set another lap after going purple in Sector 3. Let's see if we can find a little bit more pace on this final opportunity here. Only P7 right now. Jackson down in 9th, not looking good as Russell goes top of the board. He would quickly fall as Verstappen, then Sainz goes to the top of the board, and Jackson would not improve. Aiden Jackson, P10, Albon only in 6th as the championship leader. Real opportunities here to find ourselves in a championship fighting position with those qualifying efforts. What can we do though? 4.107 improvement through the final turn, almost half a second of a gain, and it puts us better in P5. We beat both the McLarens, which is absolutely crucial, as Sainz and Verstappen are on the front row going into the third to last race of this season, and we have a real opportunity to gain some points again today. Let's head to the grid Sunday in Abu Dhabi.
So here we are, ready to go racing for one final time this year. Another season of victories, controversies and rivalries lies in our wake. And just one challenge remains, here in the United Arab Emirates, on a circuit that made its spectacular debut back in 2009. Welcome to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. The drivers will be racing here at the Yas Marina circuit through 16 corners and a lap distance of around 3.28 miles. There are a few opportunities to pass with long straights and DRS zones in 2 places, so plenty of close racing, then plenty of speed, and Plenty of drama to be found in the laps ahead. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. An immense lap from Carlos Sainz yesterday puts him in pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Oscar Piastri, Golden Boy, Leclerc, Albon, Norris, Tsunoda, Jackson, Iwasa, Liam Lawson, Teo Pourchaire, Gasly, Drugovich, Joe, Hughes, Ocon, Butler and Callie Mayer. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. And with me today, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Golden Boy.
Let's talk about Golden Boy.
They need to win in order to ensure they stay in contention for the championship. Anything outside that, and their fate is no longer in their hands.
And they can do it for sure, as long as they don't dwell too much on the position. At the end of the day, there's only one way to go racing, and that's to give it everything you've got. Either your best is good enough to stay in the hunt, or it's not. There's no point giving any less than 100%.
Ready to roll. Here in Abu Dhabi, you already know what the strategy is. It's mediums, 2 hards. Simple as that. No threat of weather. There was a threat of rain in qualifying. Never saw that in Abu Dhabi before, but obviously it never did rain. Let's get ready to roll ahead of the 2 McLarens. Let's try to close this gap on points. Sainz on pole.
So here we go then with the formation lap right here in Abu Dhabi. Around 50,000 spectators are all in the stands today, all hoping to see some fantastic racing.
Only 2 drivers electing to start on softs. That's Verstappen as well as George Russell. We'll see if Verstappen can get the lead in turn 1.
As the cars come back towards the grid to line up for the start of the race, each driver will be wanting to get the best start they possibly can. And they'll be hoping to finish today's race on the podium, maybe that within the points.
Great effort yesterday, mate. We'll do whatever we can to keep you ahead of the McLarens.
Sounds good. Let's keep it clean tonight, guys, and let's have fun. I just want to point out, this might be the last career mode episode for a few days. As I'm commentating this, I'm feeling a bit under the weather, and I don't know if I'm going to get worse or better, because it's something that's been kind of messing with me since Sunday. I'm recording this on Tuesday, so we'll see. If you don't see a few career mode videos for a few days, you know why. I'm under the weather, not feeling the greatest, but hopefully that's not the case. We're ready to go racing here on Sunday from Abu Dhabi. Sainz on pole, Verstappen second on the soft, same for Russell. Lights out, we're underway. It's a terrible start for the Mercedes. Nearly into the back of George Russell. Verstappen gets Sainz already on the run towards turn 1. That is not good for the field. He's going to be able to drive away. Leclerc was able to send one up the inside. Albon down to 7th. Jackson hasn't really made any ground either. He remains in P10 as you see the rest of the field sorting things out on these opening laps. We come into this episode in a position where, of course, we need to once again beat the pair of McLarens if we really want to keep ourselves in this championship fight. Right now, Albon, Jackson, they're separated, by less than 10 points coming into this episode, but we have over, a full race currently to make up on points, but it is possible with 3 Grand Prix remaining, especially when Albon finds himself down in P7, Jackson down in 10th place. So it's going to be crucial to run as good as we can today. We need to be on the podium today, simple as that. But if we go into Jeddah, 25, 26, 27 points out, we simply have to look at Jeddah as a must-win scenario, no matter what situation it is, unless, of course, the 2 McLarens DNF or don't get points. So, but right now, realistically, I'm not looking at tonight as a must-win, but Jeddah for sure is a must-win to set us up for the Brazilian Grand Prix finale. And unfortunately, I don't think we're going to win this Grand Prix. Abu Dhabi is just not a strong circuit for me. Last episode, though, we didn't have any pace in Bahrain. We still ended up on the podium. Albon and Russell, they were going at it side by side behind me for the 6th position as we continue in P5 coming to the end of lap 2. Albon eventually does get past George Russell, so he takes P6. He's in a second and a half, nearly 2 seconds back. What can he do now that he's past Russell? Well, the answer is he can close in on me. You can see now the gap down to 1.2 seconds, and I was struggling. I was having a few moments, and you're seeing it right here of oversteer, just really pushing the daylights out of this car, to be honest, and it was costing me some time again in turn 1, a slip and slide 3 moments in just a few laps. But I was fortunately, really good in sector 3, and that was allowing me to kind of stay within range of these guys in front of me. But what was really helping me was Oscar Piastri bringing the fight to the two Ferraris. And speaking of the fight, they're three wide. They're three wide there briefly. The two Ferraris get through. Piastri settles in behind. Leclerc goes a second. Maybe can Sainz fight back. Verstappen 3.5 seconds up the road saying, see you later. I don't really want to bother with you guys. And while all this has happened, Albon has dropped back 2.4 seconds behind me, and Jackson has went from 10th to 7th, and he is within striking distance of Alex Albon here now. And actually, as they go down into the chicane, you can see the two Ferraris going at it again, Sainz versus Leclerc. But as that was happening, Jackson was able to pass Albon. Here's the replay now with the DRS down the straightaway. That is not good for Albon. Alex Albon struggled so much last episode in Bahrain, and now here he is having a nice advantage to start this race on his teammate, and now he's been passed by him. And then after that happened, this develops again. These three just absolutely scrapping it out. We got to get on with it though, because now that we have run this scoop down, we know everybody's slowing each other up, and that's allowing the two McLarens to close in on me, and the time was proving that. Less than 2 seconds right there between us briefly, between myself and Aiden Jackson. And look at these guys just scrapping it out. Everyone's going at it. It doesn't matter if there's teammates with the Ferrari, Sainz, Leclerc. They know they're both leaving Ferrari at the end of the season. Piastri's fighting for his future with a team that's rebranding, of course, that's been sold to Trackhouse Racing. Likelihood is Piastri remains at Trackhouse and he'll be alongside Charles Leclerc going into next season, but Piastri has been able to get away from Leclerc, who's now under attack from the Spaniard of Carlos Sainz. 1.7 seconds between myself and Jackson. We gotta go. We cannot allow the McLarens to get within my DRS, because it will be a whole different Grand Prix. 8 laps of racing, now to lap 9. Absolutely fantastic racing to start this Grand Prix. The gap now down to about 1.5 seconds between myself and the McLaren of Aiden Jackson as these two continue to fight. But here's the opportunity right here. Catch Sainz off guard. A great exit. Leclerc's a bit slow. We're going to get the DRS. We're going to swing to the right side if we can get them both right here. Yes, we will. Back up into 3rd place, and now we can try to run away because they continue side by side behind us. So a great overtake right there. Let's see if we can get within DRS of Oscar Piastri. Unfortunately, they battle so hard behind me in those pair of Ferraris that all they, of course, do is cost each other time. They would fall 2 seconds behind once they were done battling, and they were right within the grips of Aiden Jackson, who is now putting pressure on both of them. And look at this move from Jackson. You know it's at stake for this championship in just his 2nd season in Formula 1. He's gone around the outside of both, and he gets the job done. Up into 4th, but he's 2.8 seconds behind me, thank goodness. And that gap would actually continue to increase because he's got no DRS to work with. I got DRS from the guy that I've run down, Oscar Piastri. We're going to try and go around the outside of him here into the long sweeping left-hander, and this will in fact be job done. Red Bull 1-2, Verstappen 6 seconds ahead of us. And with the gap he has, unless we see a safety car, he's going to win this Grand Prix. Or if, of course, he has some kind of mechanical issue. And here you see him now pitting on lap 13. Of course, pitting a lot earlier. Him and Russell will be pitting on the same lap off those soft tires. So we take the lead briefly, but it wouldn't last long because Piastri was in my DRS, and of course I had no DRS to pull off of anybody. You're defenseless on this straightaway. It's so long, you can't really do anything. So you just kind of have to let it happen. And instead of fighting back and costing myself time, I stay put. And I say, let's just wait till the pit window. And the pit window was open on lap 14, so we're going to come in. We go deep though into the braking zone. I just saw my life flash before my eyes. I nearly drove head on into the pit wall and ended my own race, and that would have been the championship. Chances ended right there, but fortunately we stay alive. We lose time to Piastri, obviously, because of that moment, and we're going to lose more time here because now we got to wait for the Ferrari as well as the McLaren to come into their pit boxes. So we actually lose. You know, we were within DRS of Piastri. Now we're going to be multiple seconds behind Piastri, and actually Leclerc is going to be just behind me, maybe even in my DRS, so that tells you just how much time I lost right there. You can see the gap now, but as this pit window and cycle had sorted itself out, we would end up P3, but Verstappen, I mean, 15 seconds up the road. I think when he pitted it was like 6 seconds. Absolutely insane what he has done here today, and quite frustrating at the same time. I mean, he has been absolutely balling lately here now. The guy is unbelievable. Bahrain, of course, he was so good, dominated that Grand Prix. He's dominating again today. He's really come into his own and found his comfort in this Red Bull this season just too little, too late, and of course he's already signed to go to Ferrari alongside Lewis Hamilton next season, which is going to be so exciting. But at the end of the day, he's not leaving Red Bull because of the struggles. He said it's time for a change. He's of course spent his whole career in Formula One racing in the Red Bull family, so he said it's time, of course, to change things up. Now, let's go through the grid with 10 laps to go.
Verstappen continues his dominance from Bahrain as he has a 11-second lead with just 10 laps to go.
And no pressure from behind with Piastri or Owen either. He has total control again tonight. Piastri, however, doing a great job proving why he should get a ride with Trackhouse next year.
And joining us in the booth for a quick chat is Trackhouse CEO Justin Marks. Thanks for being with us, Justin.
It's a pleasure to be here, thank you.
So, Justin, what can you tell us about the plans for Trackhouse racing next year?
Yeah, so we're here to win races right away. We've always had a go big or go home approach from our debut in NASCAR to then MotoGP and now Formula One. The regulation reset is obviously a bit of a shock to everyone and could disrupt some things with the 20,000 resource point limit. But we're up for the challenge.
What about the driver lineup? You've been coming to a lot of these races, so I'm sure you've had many conversations.
Yeah, obviously Owen is off the table. We really wanted him, but we respect his decision. I guarantee you will see him in a Trackhouse car in the future, however. Right now, we're deciding on keeping Oscar or Yuki, and if all goes well, we'll have a deal signed soon with a top-tier driver.
All right, thanks for joining us, Justin. That was Justin Marks of Trackhouse Racing. 2 USA-based teams will be on the grid next season.
This team is going to be great for Formula One.
And there you have through the grid now, as you can see here in the mid-teens, we've got some battles starting to kick off. That's Joe going for a move on Liam Lawson here now as they continue side by side into the chicane. Lawson, his future sounds set at Haas, or Alfa Romeo Haas, going into next season, while Porcher not looking good. And it sounds like we heard Ted Kravitz say it in the last episode, that it sounds like we are going to see Carlos Sainz either at Alfa Romeo Haas next season or in potentially one of the BMW cars. So we'll have to wait and see how that happens. But you saw it right there. Albon passes Leclerc and Jackson as well. He's in just behind in P6 while Tsunoda's gone around Sainz. And then lap 23 a few moments later, now Jackson's going to be able to pass Leclerc. So of course Albon pitting 1 lap earlier than Jackson was what allowed him to get back out in front of his McLaren teammate, which is going to be absolutely crucial for his championship, chances. And we have done just about everything we've needed to do all weekend long. We've put together a very superb weekend, and unfortunately, right now, it's only looking like it's going to be enough for 3rd place. So it is what it is. 5 laps to go. We are closing in now on Oscar Piastri. As we know, all season long, the strength of this Red Bull is the long run, and we are proving that once again. We proved it last episode in Bahrain, and we're proving it again here today. I mean, we just continue to close in as these laps wind down. And with Albon being 4th, Jackson being 5th, we're not going to gain a lot of points. We will gain some, which is, of course, crucial, but I was pushing as hard as I could, as you can see right here, to try and get to Piastri to get 2nd place, to get that little bit extra amount of points on those McLarens. But it's just not going to happen. With 2 to go, you can see still 2 seconds between myself and Piastri. Verstappen, 11.5 seconds. Final lap here in Abu Dhabi, and actually just pushing a little bit too much. I'm going to get a 3-second time penalty. That was my 3rd warning of the night here for track limits, but it's not going to change anything. We have 6 seconds over Albon, so we will be okay. Max Verstappen is going to go back-to-back in 2 consecutive dominant nights here in the Middle East. Verstappen wins in Abu Dhabi. Piastri is going to be P2, and it's going to be 2 consecutive 3rd place efforts for us. It's not what I wanted, but it's enough to continue to close in on the 2 McLarens, and that's all we can ask for at this current point in time. 2 Grand Prix remain: Jeddah, Brazil. We, of course, need to check what the point situation looks like and how we're set up into these final 2 races. Now, is Verstappen driver of the day? Pure dominance from the Dutchman. Let's head to the podium.
A real team effort then, which has paid off in spades. A great victory here at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And talk to me. What do you think it was that sealed the win for them?
Well, time management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
And there you see now the podium celebrations that are about to kick off with 2 Red Bulls. It's always great to see 2 Red Bulls on the podium this season because I think that's only the 3rd or 4th time. It hasn't been common, of course, now. But there you see myself and Verstappen. And I feel like every time Verstappen's won, it's been 3rd place for me. It's not been like 2nd. Oscar Piastri is so close to getting that first win in Formula 1 in Qatar, and we stole it from him, of course, on literally the final straightaway. I felt bad for doing that for him because that might have been Aston Martin's, last chance to finally win a race before, of course, Trackhouse's ownership with Justin Marks comes along. But Oscar Piastri is doing a fantastic job to, keep his ride with a team that's looking superb. But now we don't know, with the regulation changes, where these teams are going to line up, especially when we can only use 20,000 resource points. That's the rule that Formula 1 has imposed for every team. Let's take a look at the standings. There it is. 9-point lead Albon has over his teammate of Jackson. We are back by 24 points, just shy of a full race with 2 Grand Prix to go. We got to go into Jeddah looking for victory to give ourselves a fighting chance in Brazil. The task is simple. Can we pull it off? We'll find out next episode. I'll see you guys then. Have a great day, everybody.